Welcome to the Growth Lab channel. Today, we're grabbing our detective hats and magnifying glasses because we're diving deep into the human brain. We've got a fascinating case file open on a real mystery. What is going on inside the mind of someone who just doesn't flinch?
I mean, think about it. If you see an angry face coming right at you, your internal alarm bells start ringing, right? It's just instinct. But what if for some people, those alarms are just silent? Why is it that some people seem to completely miss the social danger signs that the rest of us see loud and clear?
All right, let's start with the basics of our investigation. An angry face isn't just a mood. It's a huge piece of social information. It's a warning, it's a stop sign, it's a signal that says, hey, you might want to change what you're doing right now.
Yeah, you can think of it like a social smoke detector. It goes off and warns us of potential conflict so we can adjust and, not get burned. But what happens when that smoke detector is broken? For people with high levels of antisocial traits, it's like the batteries were taken out. The smoke's in the air, but no alarm is going off. Okay, so who exactly are we talking about here? It's time to profile our suspect. We're looking at a condition called antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD for short. And to be crystal clear, this is so much more than just being a rebel or disliking authority. ASPD is a persistent, long-term pattern of behavior. We're talking impulsivity, aggression, and a real lack of concern for rules, or, frankly, for the safety and feelings of other people. Now, quick sidebar, because these terms get thrown around and mixed up all the time. While they're related, psychopathy is more about internal stuff, like being callous or not feeling empathy. ASPD, on the other hand, is diagnosed based on what a person does, their actual observable behaviors. And for this case, we are laser-focused on the actions. So this is the really cool part. How on earth do you look inside somebody's brain to figure this stuff out? I mean, it's not like you can just pop the hood. Well, it turns out you set up a really, really clever test. Our whole investigation hinges on this awesome new study. Researchers came up with a pretty brilliant experiment to get to the bottom of this, using brain imaging to look for clues right there in the brain itself. Okay, so check out this setup. First, they got their subjects, 54 men. Then, they put each one into an fMRI brain scanner, which basically watches the brain in real time. And here's the genius part. They showed them angry faces that looked like they were moving towards them, getting closer and closer, a clear threat, right? All the while, they were watching to see which parts of the brain lit up, and more importantly, which parts didn't. All right, the experiment is done, the data is in the bag. So what did the scans actually show? Get ready, because this is the moment the whole case blows wide open. When the scientists analyzed the brain scans from the men who scored higher for antisocial behavior, they found something that wasn't just interesting. It was a huge, blinking sign. The pattern was undeniable and, honestly, a little bit eerie. And here they are, the three main culprits. For the men with higher antisocial traits, these three specific spots in the brain were way less active when that angry face was looming at them. They were essentially quiet, asleep on the job. So, why is this such a big deal? Well, you have to know what these brain regions are supposed to do. The first two, the temporal gyri, are basically your social processing centers. They help you read social cues and recognize faces. And that third one, the ventral tegmental area, that's a huge part of your brain's threat alarm system. So the parts of the brain designed to spot a social threat and sound the alarm were all just taking a nap? Seriously? How wild is that? The brain's entire security system was just offline. If you find that as mind-blowing as I do me a huge favor and smash that like button. And make sure you subscribe to the Growth Lab because you are not going to want to miss what we break down next. Okay, so we've found the quiet parts of the brain, we've got our evidence, but what's the so what here? What does this actually mean in the real world? This is the key takeaway. If your brain doesn't properly flag an angry person as a risk, you won't feel that social pressure to stop or back down. The perceived risk of getting into a conflict or breaking a rule is just lower. It goes a long way to explaining some of the impulsive, aggressive behaviors we see. And looking forward, this isn't just a fascinating, that's neat kind of finding. It could be a total game changer. This kind of biological signpost could lead to better diagnoses, help us spot risks earlier, and maybe even lead to totally new ways to help, interventions that target these specific brain circuits. But before we stamp this case closed,
Any good detective knows you have to look at the limitations of your evidence. No single study ever tells the whole story, so let's be thorough.
First things first, the number of people in the study. We're looking at just 54 men. Now that's a fantastic start, but to be really sure, these results need to be seen again in much bigger, more diverse groups of people. And there are a few other footnotes to keep in mind too. The study looked at a very specific group, incarcerated men in China. The ASPD traits were measured with a self-report survey, which can be tricky. Plus, the MRI scanner wasn't the most powerful kind. All of this just reminds us that we found a major clue, but it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. So let's wrap up with this final big picture thought. This research hints that maybe, just maybe, this brain response isn't totally set in stone. If we could find ways to turn up the volume on these quiet brain alarms, what would that mean? Could we actually train the neural circuits of empathy? I'm really curious to hear what you think about this one. Is this a biological dead end, or is it a doorway to brand new types of therapy and intervention? Let me know. Drop your best theory in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.